Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching today's video. I'm going to be going into all of the books that I read in 2022, which I have here next to me. They are all by Cassandra Clare. I read most of the books in the ShadowHunters series that has been released so far, and I'm just going to go into why I liked each book, what was my favorite parts without doing any spoilers, and talking about what my favorite character was, which is kind of going to be hard to choose, but I will do my best. This is actually the first year that I have been able to comprehend and read full books again. I was just left not being able to track pages and read books due to complications of Lyme's disease. While I was in treatment, I just couldn't read books. It just wasn't gonna happen for me, and for other reasons with my health. But yeah, I have been able to start reading again last year, and it has been super fun to have been able to read all of these books. It was such an amazing pastime, and I really enjoy reading now, and it is lots of fun. So today I'm going to be talking about all these books I have right next to me, and the order that I read them, and the order that I would recommend reading them if you're going to read them from start to finish, if you have never read any of the Shadowhunter books before. There's other videos out on YouTube about the best order to read them that are going to go way more in depth than I will, but I'm going to give just a little brief insight and talk about how I read them. So here we go. I'm going to start talking about each series now and the order that I personally read them in. So first I read The Infernal Devices, which starts with The Clockwork Angel, and these books follow Tessa Gray and Will Herondale and Jem Carstairs. The second book is Clockwork Prince, and the third book is Clockwork Princess. These books, the end of Clockwork Prince, oh my gosh. These books had me so emotional by the end of them. I was sobbing, honestly. They're so good. I got such a good emotional connection with some of these characters, and I really enjoyed that. They definitely had my favorite character development in these books by far out of all of them, I would have to say. I did just reread these in December, so I don't know if that's skewing my opinion because I have them kind of fresh in my brain. I just reread all of them. I read a total of 14 books last year, but I read these twice, so I did read 17 books, which is pretty awesome. Which is a lot of books for the first time reading in a long time for me. I was really excited to count them all up. But anyhow, these books, so good. Lots of good battle scenes and good fighting and great character development. Favorite character development out of all of the books for sure. But yeah, my favorite character would have to be Will Herondale. I'm probably saying these last names all wrong, but bear with me. I hope you enjoy my odd pronunciations, but yeah, Will was my favorite character out of these books for sure. And then next I read The Elvis Curses, not really knowing that these fit in a certain place in the series of these books, so I didn't get super into them because I didn't have as much of depth to the characters as they would have had if I would have read them in a different order. But these books are The Red Scrolls of Magic and The Lost Book of the White. And my favorite character would obviously be Magnus Bane. If you have read any of these books, you know Magnus. He is, sorry about dog noises, but he is throughout all of these books and is a great queer representation, and I really enjoyed that. But yeah, the next series I read was The Dark Artifices, which start with Lady Midnight, and these books captivated me completely. I was just so drawn in and hooked once I started reading. I couldn't stop. I read these books way faster than the rest just because I was so into them. They are my favorite series out of all of the Shadowhunter books. Definitely The Dark Artifices are my favorite. Joey, don't make noise. Gosh. And then we have Lord of Shadows. Don't want to give anything away, but the end of this book, not expected, so crazy, so sad. Oh my gosh, read it to find out. Totally worth it. So good. The last book is Queen of Air and Darkness. And if I haven't mentioned, these books are kind of ginormous. This book is almost 900 pages. I believe it is 870. I'm pretty positive. and it's 870 pages of wonderfulness. Well, lots of battles. If you're into battles, these books are for you. They have the sword Cortana, which is a sword that's passed down from the casters generation to generation, and it's just a special magical weapon that can cut through anything and has a lot of story behind it, so I enjoyed watching the sword go through the books and be held by different owners. But yeah, my favorite character would have to be Christina Rosales, for sure. I loved her character so much. And the love interests in this book are so good and like just so good, so worth the read. I love them. Lastly, I read the Mortal Instruments series, which is the longest series, and I believe it was the first to be released. I believe it was originally a trilogy that was added onto, if I am remembering correctly. I could be wrong on that though. But the first book is City of Bones, and then we have City of Ashes, City of Glass, City of Fallen Angels, City of Lost Souls, and lastly, City of Heavenly Fire. Now these books, although there's a lot of them, they are packed full of lots of good drama and interestingness. There's a few things in these books that I wasn't super big fan on, which I'm sure many readers can relate to that if they read these books. The whole like, there's like some, anyways, not even gonna go into it. Don't want to give anything away, but these books were my least favorite out of all the series, but I definitely still enjoyed them and I'm glad I read them. But because I read them when I was younger, I remembered some of the key like spoilers that were like cliffhangers, and so I didn't get quite as into the books as I did the other series. But I would say after the first 3 books, the last 3 books really pick up pace and are a lot more interesting in my opinion, but also I didn't know it was gonna happen, so that's probably why I thought it was more interesting. And my favorite character out of the Mortal Instruments series would have to be Simon Lewis, who is originally a mundane, like a normal person. Mundane is what they're called in the books. And he is just brought into the Shadowhunter world because of his best friend, and so much happens to him, and he just powers through it, for real. Like, just no matter what comes his way, he is ready for it. And yeah, I did enjoy that character a lot and his dedication to friendship. So yeah, those are all of the books I read in 2022. Thank you so much for listening to me talk about all of my favorite books for so long. I almost forgot the order that I would read these books in. I would start with the Infernal Devices series. It's a great way to get into the Shadowhunter world. You're learning about the Shadowhunter world as Tessa is going through it at the same time, and from her perspective, just learning everything new is really interesting. And then next up, I would recommend reading the Chain of Gold series, The Last Hours, which contains the Chain of Gold, Chain of Iron, and Chain of Thorns is to be released at the end of January. So if you're watching this sometime in the future, that book is most likely already there and available. So I would definitely recommend those books second, because they're kind of like the sequel to these books. It follows these characters' children and their lives and their stories. So I definitely recommend reading The Last Hours second. And then third, I would recommend the Mortal Instruments series for sure. This will take you through all the Shadowhunter history and how everything plays out and bring you deep into the Downworlder experience and what they are like. And then lastly, I would read The Dark Artifices. Even though these are my favorite, I would say reading them last is definitely the way to avoid any spoilers, because if you read them first, you will learn spoilers. But if you don't care about that, read them in whatever order you please. But yeah, that would be the recommendation that I would have, would be the Infernal Devices, The Last Hours, The Immortal Instruments, and The Dark Artifices. And the Eldest Curses could fit in anywhere after the third book of the series in the Mortal Instruments. So yeah, that would be my recommendation for the order to read them in if you're reading them as a first timer and don't know anything about the Shadowhunter world. That way you will get to be introduced to everything and everything will make sense. So yeah, thank you again so much for watching. I hope everyone is having a wonderful beginning of their new year and is enjoying January. Thanks again for watching. Have a good day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, bye.